Owens, thanks for calling.
What's up, everybody? Jackie Ray here for the Dub Connect. This is the special episode that you can only get on our YouTube pages. My YouTube page is at Jackie Ray TV. Antonio's is A. Williams Sports. I'm letting him relax and be in the corner, loosening up. This is dial tone, you guys. These are
ready.
Gotta probably need some water, need a trainer, massaging the shoulders.
Yep.
This is dial tone. This is where Antonio Williams answers questions either from myself or you guys. I definitely want you guys to get your questions in, so feel free to DM me at Jackie Ray TV on all social media. I'll make sure to get him to Antonio. He has a plethora of experience to especially answer basketball questions, but he's been a baseball scout, NBA scout. He's worked at Nike. He's played. He's trained. He's scouts. He's done it all. So make sure you get those basketball questions. But since this is our new standalone segment, I'm a start. I'm gonna go first.
All right.
Because again, Antonio, with all of your experience, especially you working at Nike with players in the NBA and knowing that side of it, knowing the scouting side, I'm very curious to hear your opinion because we recently saw all the drama with Kyrie Irving. I definitely, and I think you and I have talked about this, the public shaming and buck breaking of him, I thought was incredibly excessive and unnecessary and unwarranted, but that's a story for another day. Right. Nike had suspended their relationship with him, but just this week they have officially severed ties with Kyrie Irving. And then, of course, that is the same day they announced they have a signature shoe coming out with Ja Morant. From your experience as a scout, your experience working at Nike, was this the right way for Nike to go? And what does this mean for Kyrie?
First off, if I'm Ja Morant and I'm Ja Morant's representation, once you get into the signature shoe game and once you become a signature athlete, that's not a decision that is made lightly. That is months in the making. And once you start getting to the designs of that, you're talking 18 to 24 months out. So with that being said, Ja and them that's why the announcing of this is peculiar, because of the fact that this isn't okay, we're severing our relationship with Kyrie. Now let's bring on Ja. This is something that was discussed a couple of 18 months ago to 24 months ago. Mm-hmm. So, and these are not decisions that are taken lightly, because there was a point in time when there was an effort to find the next Michael Jordan by all the shoe companies. So they were giving signatures to everybody. Mm-hmm. Right? If you were a halfway decent player, here's your own shoe. It's like Oprah. Here's the prize for you. Here's the prize for you. Here's the right. Like, it was all that, and you win, and you win. No, it's not like that anymore. As these shoe companies are these athletic apparel companies are performance and technology companies that are mostly responsible to shareholders. They're trying to make that money. It's all about that money, man, right? Mm-hmm. So with that being said, they're not throwing out signature shoe deals to everybody. So this was something that was in the works for a while now. What I find peculiar, if I'm Ja's representation, I certainly don't like the fact that you announce that you let it leak, because again, in this industry, things are not leaked unless somebody wants it to be leaked. Mm-hmm. That's how this works, right? And people want it to be leaked for a multitude of reasons, right? Whether you work for a team, whether you work for a company, nothing gets out unless they want it to be out.
Right.
Or unless you're an agent, whatever the case may be. So with that being said, if I'm Ja's representation, don't announce that a signature shoe is imminent on the same day that you decide that you're going to sever ties with Kyrie. Mm-hmm. Don't use me for that. And I think that was probably not the right way to announce this, because once you are a signature athlete, it's just that this is my shoe. This is my moment.
Right.
Don't use you're severing another person a relationship with someone else who, by the way, Ja looks up
Mhm.
to announce the fact that you're going to give me a signature shoe. I think that is in effect using us as pawns, at least even if it's unintentional, that's the way that it comes across.
Right.
And there are times when these athletic apparel companies, again, big bank take little bank, they can be very paternalistic in their approach and not think about the long-term ramifications of some of the decisions that they make. Um, so for me, if I were Ja's representation, as much as it is an accomplishment to get a signature shoe, all of us that play this game want, oh, man, I'm going to get my own shoe. We all think of that. And for you to announce it during this time is something that was probably not the best move. And I'll say this really quickly about Kyrie. Kyrie's been in the league since 2011.
Mhm.
The Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants, and the Kevin Durant's and the LeBron Jameses of the world are the anomalies. Most signature athletes don't go 15 years getting a different iteration of their shoe every single year
Right.
because what the NBA does that is different than Major League Baseball, you can still make a case that part of the reason why Major League Baseball is left behind in pop culture and in sports in the sports American sports landscape is because the biggest star played 100 years ago.
Mhm. Mhm.
We still talk about Babe Ruth, and that's no disrespect to the players that played before, but in order to grow the game, you have to move on. And the NBA have mastered the art of moving on,
Right.
right? So like because we're at the point now, LeBron is still playing and we're still and they're trying to find who's next,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So with the efforts to try and find who's next, most guys don't have their own iteration of their shoe for 18 or 19 years,
Right.
you know. So the fact that oftentimes you will see Kyrie is in his 11th or 12th season now, you will see a player maybe still be quote unquote part of the family, but that signature line dissipates
Mhm.
around this time
Mhm.
because they're moving on to the next sort of who's the next player, the Ja Morants, the Trey Youngs, who's next. So and um, one of the things to pay attention to as you move forward is if to prove what I'm saying, pay attention to what happens with Damian Lillard moving forward with Adidas
Mhm. Mhm.
because they're sort of getting to that same window where we
Mm.
have these guys that are Anthony Edwards and Trey Young. We have these young guys that are coming that Donovan Mitchell that are coming now that are signature athletes, and you know the Derrick Roses and things are we are they'll still be part of the family, but we probably won't manufacture a signature shoe for them.
Right.
So this isn't out of the realm of it's not out of the realm of normality. Let me say it that way. But the timing of it and how they did it probably leaves a little bit to be desired.
Mhm. I agree. Do you think that Kyrie ends up like with another brand like Puma, Adidas, New Balance is trying to come up?
If you're one of those other brands, absolutely. And the
Mhm.
reason why I say that is because we live in a world right now with social media, and I say this to you all the time offline. We live in a world right now that if you're going to ask the consumer or the parent to pay $200 for a pair of shoes or pay a premium for a piece of apparel that is that a certain player represents, if you're going to ask me to pay a premium for that, I better know something about what you stand on and where you stand.
Mhm.
Social media has made it, whether it's right or not. I think Twitter is at what, a little over 300 characters now you can
Mhm.
post. And
Mhm.
then, Instagram, you can put a picture, video, and You can caption that thing up as well. Um, Even though a picture doesn't define someone's life in the eyes of the consumer, it damn sure does.
Right.
So Kyrie has made his stance about the upliftment and the empowerment and informing our people. And the reason why I'm saying that a statement is important is because Nike stock hit an all-time high when they released an Air Force One with of Colin Kaepernick,
Right.
right? So brands, the consumers are demanding we know something about where you stand. So Kyrie has made it known where he stands. So if you're one of those brands that quote unquote really rocks with the culture, you go and you do a deal with Kyrie Irving.
Well, what does it say about Nike though? To have made that deal with Colin Kaepernick on one hand, which I think all of us who pay attention knew that was all a publicity ploy. Nike don't care any more than about black people than Trump and his cabinet. I said it. Feel how you feel about it. But it was just, and I get that from a capitalistic society, you rock with the current wave, especially if that current wave is going to be financial. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying I understand it. But to make that kind of stance and this whole media push to show that Colin stood up for something that was right and he was blackballed for it, to take that stance with Colin Kaepernick and then to just completely shun Kyrie based off of what society feels, and the man didn't say anything. He just posted the movie, by the way, which Amazon, fun fact, has come out and said, y'all can kick rocks. We ain't taking it down. Just fun fact. That's what they
Right.
said. They
That's
made a whole
exactly
statement that said, kick
right.
rocks, feel how you feel. Y'all talking about this movie, we keeping this movie because people are paying for it. I'm so sorry.
That's
so
exactly right.
so, they take that, Amazon takes that stance. No one bats an eye, but now Kyrie has to be this sacrificial lamb, and Nike is jumping on board with that. Can we officially say that they actually don't really care about black people unless that's what's trending?
I think we can say a lot of brands don't, because are there brands? Let's take this, and because I'm on set here with a woman and a smart woman, right? Um, there are a lot of brands when you start talking about women. Are there brands out that there's been an active push about from all brands,
Mhm.
basically, to let's really market to women. Let's empower women. I know you and I talked about the roller coaster at Magic Mountain, and it's all the Wonder Woman one, and it's
Mhm.
all about women empowerment.
Mhm.
Um, are there brands out there that really believe in women empowerment, and they have been an active participant in it, even when it wasn't popular, even when it wasn't profitable? Sure, there are.
Mhm.
But are there a lot of brands that are just looking for revenue opportunities and leveraging women empowerment just happens to be a revenue opportunity? Yes, there are. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And we would be naive to think that there aren't brands that are like that. And there aren't a lot of brands that are like that,
Mhm.
because a lot of these brands, and again, I'm not saying that every brand can be responsible for all the individuals that work and represent it, but a lot of these major brands that have made significant inroads in women's empowerment also have at the top of their organization the people that are the talking heads and the public representatives of their organizations. While they're making this push into women's empowerment, they've also had significant Me Too situations going on as
Right.
well,
Mhm.
right? They've
Mhm.
also, while they talk about women's empowerment, they've had issues with promoting women,
Mhm.
with promoting Black women, women of other ethnicities as well, while they're pushing women's empowerment.
Right.
So there are lots of prominent organizations that are, for lack of a better term, skating in both lanes,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Skating in both lanes. And we would be naive to assume that they aren't. There aren't. And so I think when we see these types of situations, that's why it was so great when LeBron asked the questions that he asked, because he said, look, let's have some dialogue about this,
Right.
because that's what everybody says. We need to have a discussion. All right, here we go. Let's have a discussion about this. I think that is the only way that we move forward. I also think too that at the very, very top of these organizations that are really, it's similar to the Coach Prime situation. We always talk about these organizations that we support, and we always complain when there are marketing campaigns, when there are certain things, just in case what I said about Kyrie and Ja Morant. And we say all the time that you have to have some representation in this room because you are completely tone deaf when you do certain things, right? We can't say we want that. And then when Coach Prime goes to Colorado to, in effect, give you some of that, complain about that on the other side.
Right.
Right. And so for me, it's one of those things that I really do think that some of the people that look like us that sit in those seats in basketball at Nike should have, going back, bringing it full circle. Let's wait to say something about Ja. Let's make sure that this doesn't get out because he deserves his own moment.
Agreed. Well, there you have it, you guys. That is Dial Tone. We got all kinds of gems in Dial Tone. I love it. So make sure you DM me at Jackie Ray TV so I can ask questions for next week's segment of Dial Tone. Or if you want, you can send them directly to Antonio. But then he'll know them. And see, that's not the plan here. I want to surprise him with the questions.
That's not.
So send them to me so I can ask him, and he just, off the rip. You see how good he is. So make sure you do that. But still follow him at a.williamsports, and make sure you check out the Dub Connect on all streaming platforms. You can see it visually on YouTube or Spotify, but you can only get Dial Tone on our YouTube page. For Antonio, that's a.williamsports, and for me, it's at Jackie Ray TV. So until next time.